fresh out the oven.
Oh, another day, another look at my map for King of the Hill Synthetic. This time for Beta 17. Let's get into the differences. Alright, so I changed these signs to hopefully make it a little bit more obvious that you can actually jump up on top of them by adding this hazard tape texture brush on top of that sign right there. So hopefully it's more obvious that, hey, you can jump on top of this and then crouch jump your way up here, which is what you can do. So hopefully that works. I also lowered the overall height of this midpoint. Why are those glitching out like that? That is annoying. That needs to be fixed. It's always something. Anyway, I lowered the overall midpoint here, so I had to add another stair on the bottom of these steps. And the reason why I did that is so that the people who are on the point don't have quite as much of advantage as they did before. You still have a height advantage, of course, but it's not quite as big as it was previously. So hopefully that'll make it a little bit easier for the point to go back and forth, and for somebody who owns the point to then lose the point, and so on and so forth. I want the point to constantly change hands. I don't want one team to capture the point and own it for an eternity. That is not what you want in King of the Hill for Team Fortress 2. So, I'm working on fixing that. I changed this brush over here to just be a flat angled wall. Originally, I had a little bit of a space that you could kind of walk out on out this way. Way back in the day, when this map was first starting to get worked on, that's a Mr. Light texture, gosh dang it, it's always something's got to be fixed. But when this map first started to be worked on, the reason why that was there was so that engineers could build up there, and then slowly over time it shrunk, and it just got to the point where I was looking at it and I'm like, why is this even here? So I got rid of it, and now it's gone. I did have to change around some textures on both sides to make it make a bit more sense, and I did add a couple of signs. You have a red arrow sign there that needs fixed. You have a red arrow sign in here, so if you're walking up this way, you see the arrow sign to go that way, or the arrow sign to go that way. Or if you're over here, you turn this corner, and you see, boom, there's an arrow sign pointing you where to go, right to the point, to make it a little bit easier to find the control point. Something else that I did have to change was the top of these second transitional buildings. The reason why I had to change them is because of how they were designed. It would allow rocket jumps and explosive jumps to be able to happen on one side of the map that could not happen on the other side of the map. So I had to make them a little bit more uniform so that they make a little bit more sense and you can't do random rocket jumps. Basically, the sides had to be more uniform, which is why I had to move this tower over a little bit so that you can't rocket jump off of up here, and I had to move this around a little bit to make it match this side over here. So, I mean, you can rocket jump off this, you can rocket jump off that, but you can't rocket jump off anything up here because there's nothing there. And now it is the same on this side. I also added a little bit of cover over on this particular path. I put out the patio, the concrete patio, extended that all the way down here, and put some barrel clusters around to give you a little bit more cover when you're going around this side, since that was something that somebody asked me to do, so I added that. I put some clipping on top of this particular pallet, so now it shouldn't be as awkward, and I removed the collision on this tree. It was a little bit weird that they'd had collision before, so you could stand on top of it. Now you can stand in it, which also is weird, but that's Team Fortress 2 for you. Video games. That is another misaligned texture. Man! So many things to fix. Alright. This doorway changed to be a lot smaller and to block off a sight line that lets you look from through the doorway all the way over here. You could look at somebody who was down here by standing outside that doorway. Now you can't do that. You have to go in here and into this window in order to see somebody who's standing at the bottom of that ladder. This should also help optimization, since you can no longer see this window at all. So that should completely block, since this is a world brush and there's an area portal here, that needs fixed. Everything needs fixed. So many things need fixed. Why don't I check these before I release them? I don't know. I check it, I think it's good, I release it, and then I'm like, oh, this isn't good. Maybe it's a little dark in here. I might want to fix that in the upcoming future. I'm not sure. Maybe add some detailing up in here to make it a little bit more interesting. I don't know. I don't think I need to add more detailing to this map. Anyway, that should make the optimization a little bit better. And I added these tiny little pipes that go around the side here, so now you can walk up here and walk that way by walking on the pipe. And you got a little bit of cover by these oil drums that are now up on this upper section. I don't want too much cover on these oil drums. They're supposed to be big out in the open. That way they're not good for cover. And that will... The idea is they're not good for cover because to use them, you're way out in the open. So you're probably going to die. But they can be helpful to attack and somewhat helpful to defend, but they're hard to use to defend because there's not a great way to get up here. They're easy to use to attack because there is a way to get up here, but they're difficult to hold because of where they are. You can kind of hold in here because you have this sight line here, but you can't really hold in here with this sight line there because you can get outmaneuvered and stuff and things. I also had to change the detailing up top here. This texture looks absolutely like garbage, and that needs to be fixed. Why did I pick that texture? I don't know. This area up here had to be changed because of how the map was splitting itself. It was taking the original roofs that were here, and it was only showing this side of the roof from this side, and only showing this side of the roof from this side, instead of showing both sides of the roof that it needed to show, so you could obviously tell where the split was. So instead of showing both up here, I mean, if we back up here, it would show this, or it would show this, instead of showing both on the side. So I had to take what was the detailing for up here, moved it over here, so now you have the tower somewhat in the middle here. It's somewhat centralized, which I think actually works out pretty well once I fix this ugly texture. And then I had to change this, because I didn't want to have two towers on this thing. I didn't want the roofs to be exactly the same on both sides of this roof. So I changed that up to be a little bit different that way. It still looks good, and it does double duty. I said duty. It does double duty because it blocks a weird clipping thing that was going on with that roof back there. As you can see, that roof back there is the only thing that renders up here outside of the rest of the building. I don't know why, but this should now help block that weird rendering going on. I hope. So that will hopefully do what I want it to do. And if it doesn't do what I want it to do, then I'll have to figure something else out. I also fixed these little angle gutter pipes that were not rendering for some reason. I don't know how, but somehow they got changed to only show up if the person running the map was using specific DirectX functionality or specific kind of DirectX, and that's been fixed to now actually show up on the map, as well as detail sprites. You'll see there's these little things of flowers and grass all over the place. I figured out how to do that. So the way that works is in Source or in Team Fortress 2, you have to specify in the properties of the map which detail sprites you are going to use for your map, and each map can only use one detail sprite. By default, a map uses detail sprites for 2 fort, so only textures that have the detail sprites assigned to 2 fort will have grass and flowers and stuff show up on them. That is not the textures I'm using for this map. I'm using textures that match textures from Lumberyard, which is an arena map. So I had to figure out what was going on with that, load up a decompiled version of Lumberyard, and try and figure out why the sprites were showing up on Lumberyard and were not showing up on my map. So now they're showing up on my map because I set my map to use the train yard detail sprites, which allows them to now show up. And that needs fixed. That is clipping into the wall. One of these days I'll have this map finished. One of these days! Something else that I changed was I've raised this wall over here, so it now looks a lot more like an area that's out of bounds. We didn't really have a problem with people thinking they could get out of bounds over here, but I did have some people thinking they could get out of bounds all the way over here onto the blue side. They thought they could get back here because it didn't really look like anything was blocking it. So I had to raise that wall In order to keep things consistent, I also had to raise the wall on the red side. So now they're raised up, and I moved these props around a little bit to fix some clipping issues that were going on. That needs fixed. These videos of me showing off the map is, this needs fixed, that needs fixed, this other thing needs fixed, everything needs fixed. I also fixed the door when it would raise up, you could see it through the wall, so that's now also fixed. Anything else? Anything else I did? The detail sprites don't go into the skybox, because if they went into the skybox, they would be huge! Because the skybox turns everything into 1/16th size. You have to have a 1/16th size skybox, because it makes everything bigger. So it made all the detail sprites huge. So they are not showing up over there, which is good. What else changed? Did anything else change? I don't think I changed anything down here since the last time. I didn't change anything over here since the last time. I did fix some weird props issues. I had these props, this clock and that fire alarm bell were inside the wall for some reason, so that's fixed now. That's an error or a bug that should no longer be a problem. Did I do anything in here? I think I pushed over these pipes and pushed this wall out since the last time I made a video in order to block a sight line that was going from up here. Because what you could do is you could get, like, right back here, which would give you this tiny little crack to peek through, and you could peek from there all the way to over here. And that is bad. So now you can still kind of peek through that crack, but you can only peek through that little tiny crack to see some stuff on the point. If you really want to see stuff on the point, you're going to have to come out to here, which is going to make you visible. I still want this roof to be a sniper-friendly area, and I hope I didn't nerf it too much. If I did nerf it too much, I might have to figure out how I'm going to fix it. But I hope I didn't nerf it too much, because I still want snipers to come out here and be all boom, 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 sniper noises. So if this has been nerfed into the ground to the point that nobody uses this upper area, then it is a pointless area. And either it needs to go, or I need to make it more useful. And more likely than not, I need to make it more useful. But I think that's pretty much it. I changed this, so it's no longer looks quite as weird. I think I had red things on top of there with the pipes coming out. I don't remember what I changed some of this around. Oh, now I remember what it was. Because this was going out all the way here, you could rocket jump off top of this, and you couldn't shoot pills and stickies over there like you can on the other side. So I had to change this to match the other side a little bit more to fix any asymmetrical issues. Because I want asymmetrical detailing, I don't want asymmetrical layout, and those lights are popping in when I do this, and that is dumb. And that needs fixed. But alright, there you go. There's King of the Hill Synthetic Beta 17. Beta 18 will be coming up at some point soon, because I got things to fix. I still have to get this map tested before Beta 17 happens. The main thing that happened with the sprite details is I had to make sure that the sprite details were not in areas that they would go through things. So I didn't want them sticking through, like, these stairs. I didn't want them sticking through this metal over here. There is a spot on Special Delivery Doomsday where a flower sticks right up through a concrete block. And you'll see that on a couple of TF2 maps. I don't like that. Some people leave it and they don't care. Valve leaves it and they don't care. I think Brazil has some of those issues as well. I think it's dumb and lazy, so I try to fix these things. Because I want my map to be as close to perfect as it can be, even though it can never be perfect. That needs fixed. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'm MegaPieman PhD. There's no boots in here, because they are not appearing for an error. It's supposed to be a boot there and a boot there. That needs fixed! I'm gonna go fix things! Goodbye!